Helen Keller became deaf and blind when she was very young. Since she was deaf, she did not learn to speak. So her parents were extremely worried. Then they found Miss Sullivan, a teacher for the deaf and blind. That changed Helen's life. Here is an account of the turning point in her life in her own words. I still remember that morning of the year 1887. I was just 7 years of age then. My teacher and Sullivan came to our house that day. Next day she led me into her room and gave me a doll. I played with it for a while. Then Miss Sullivan made some finger movements on my palm. It was an exciting experience. I got interested in that play and started imitating the movements she made with her finger. When I finally succeeded in doing that correctly, I was thrilled. I didn't know that I was spelling D-O-L-L. Some days later, we were walking in our garden. Suddenly my teacher put my hand under the water tap. As the cool flow of water ran over one hand, she spelled WATR on my other palm. We played this game every day, touching different objects. It awakened my soul. I came to know that everything had a name. Now each name gave birth to a new thought. Every object I touched seemed to throb with life. Aha! I was connected with the world through all the words. Miss Sullivan used to take me to long walks every morning. I had a lot of questions to ask. I would write something on her palm, and in turn she would talk into my palm as people talk into a baby's ear. My teacher satisfied my curiosity. Now everything around me was full of life, love and joy. The second stage of learning was more difficult. It was also based on the sense of touch. Miss Sullivan would speak a word, and ask me to touch her lips and throat slowly. I learned to speak through the movements of the lips and the vibration in the throat. When I uttered my first word, it gave me boundless delight. Now I started talking with my toys, stones, trees and birds in the garden. I felt amazed and delighted as my sister ran to me when I called her, and my dog obeyed my commands. I was able to speak. It was a miracle. When I studied seriously, it seemed more like play than work. Whenever anything delighted or interested me, Miss Sullivan would talk about that as if she were a little girl herself. She taught subjects like science by making it so interesting that I remembered everything. Finally, my teacher began teaching me to read. I first read raised letters and later on read with Braille. I learned to write with both ordinary as well as Braille typewriter. I was well on my path to becoming a well-educated person. I was provided all the possible opportunities to develop my abilities, and I made the maximum use of them. I developed great confidence, and I even visited the President, Cleveland, at the White House. In 1890, at the age of about 10, I moved to the Perkins Institution. Here my teacher and Sullivan continued to teach me. I could make friends with other blind children here. My loneliness began to disappear, and my progress of learning improved quite well. I learnt Latin, German, and arithmetic. In 1896, I moved on to the Cambridge School for Young Ladies in Massachusetts. This was really a great achievement for a lady like me who was blind, deaf and could barely produce sounds for communication. I began writing poems and stories. Shortly before my examination, I lost my father. Although emotionally disturbed, I did my best in the examination. My teacher could not accompany me to the examination hall. There a teacher spelled out the question in my hand and I typed out the answers. When the result was declared, I was so full of joy to hear that I had passed all the subjects. I remember my first day at the Redcliffe College in 1900. I knew there were challenges in my way, but I was eager to overcome them. The professors looked far away as if they were speaking through a telephone. The lectures were spelled into my palms as rapidly as possible. I would note down whatever I remembered when I went back home. Here, I began to write about my life. I wrote the story both in Braille and on a normal typewriter. The story of my life was edited by John Mackey. The writing was published in a magazine in 1903 and I was paid for it. We the blind are as indebted to Louis Braille as mankind is to Gutenberg. On 28 June 1904, I graduated from the Redcliffe College. I felt proud that I became the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. I began to feel that I must educate people on ways to help the blind. My prime goal in my life was to spread awareness regarding the poor, neglected state of the blind. Their innate abilities and their inspirations. I had to raise funds not only to sustain a living for myself but also to start projects to remove darkness and miseries from the lives of other blind people. I strongly felt that I must give the others what I had gained from my teacher, and then came a dark cloud in my sky. I was deeply concerned about that. My teacher's eyesight was worsening day by day. As a result, she could not see clearly. She was brave enough to fight against her problem. But I was sorry because she did not heed to her problem of her eyes. Instead, she continued to help me. At last, my teacher lost her eyesight completely and became blind by the year 1935. She sacrificed her eyesight for me. What a great sacrifice it was! If she had not supported and encouraged me to learn, I would not have enjoyed the beauty of the world. I cannot think myself apart from her. My heart always speaks, I love you, teacher. For more videos, subscribe our channel. Eduskill by Pritesh Vadgama.